Two Chairs No Waiting, episode number 823, Mayberry First Years. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the folks over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Drop by over at Weavers and check out the new Cityscape collection. We got all kinds of stuff, t-shirts, accessory pouches, mugs, all kinds of things. Hey, and if you might want to check out the Mayberry Cityscape pillow cover. Yeah, it's a cover. You got to put your own pillow in it, but it's a really cool looking thing. Go and get the Mayberry 2025 wall calendar because there's only about 8 left. If you want one, hurry and get it. So head over to weaversdepartmentstore.com and check it out. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners like you. The executive producer of episode number 823 is the attendees of the Mayberry meetup back in 2024, last July. Hello, everybody. I'm Allan Newsome, the host of Two Chairs No Waiting, and it is wonderful to be in Mayberry, enjoying visiting with folks. This past weekend, we went on a trip for Weaver's Department Store, trying to find things that we could sell, that would be Mayberry related. And of course, everybody I talked to, Jan was talking to, and then I would start talking to them. And I would have to start telling them all about the Andy Griffith Show and spreading the word. So it was a lot of fun trying to explain to people what kind of things we were looking for. And many of them enjoyed it. Now, who am I, by the way? I'm Allan Newsome, the host of Two Chairs No Waiting. And I'm also, I do Floyd the Barber tribute artist work at Mayberry events. If you're watching the video version, I don't normally have a beard as I do right now. It's a very short beard and getting very gray, but it's something I do when I don't have to be Floyd for the winter. So I let it grow a little bit. But I also run imayberry.com, the website, and I have a lot of other websites. So you can go and check me out. Go to mayberrybarber.com and you can see all kinds of stuff about me. So tonight's episode, or today's, whenever you're listening, is about Mayberry first year. So I was trying to come up with something to be able to talk about to people who were more casual fans of the Andy Griffith Show, not the diehard listeners of this podcast. I think they will enjoy this as well. I think I would enjoy it if it was me. But there are a lot of things that people who listen to this podcast or have been fans of the Andy Griffith Show for a long time take for granted that, I think other people just don't know about. So that's what we're talking about with Mayberry first years. And we'll get into that in just a minute. But where this all came from is the Weavers newsletter. So the Weavers newsletter for January 2025 just hit the internet, the 23rd of January. So that's a few days ago. And so I definitely was trying to find stuff for the newsletter that would make it fun for people that are not the die-hard Andy Griffith Show fans that a lot of people are. Now, that doesn't mean you're not a fan, that you don't love the show, you don't enjoy watching it, but I was looking for things that I thought that you would enjoy as a new person. And it would also help you, if you're listening to the podcast or reading the newsletters, it would also help you interpret some of the things. So it's hard to believe that we're already at the first issue of the Weavers newsletter of 2025. Now, back in February of 23, I took over as the editor, writer, publisher of the Weavers newsletter from our friend Jim Clark, who runs the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. And he's the presiding goober emeritus of the TAGS RWC. That's what we say instead of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. But you can't say TAGS RWC. That doesn't make a word. So I don't know which is easier to say, the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club or TAGS RWC. But Jim, he is trying to step back from being as active in doing all the production and all the work required for just maintaining a club that's like the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. So he's made himself the presiding goober emeritus. So he's handed over the roles to things like this. So it's been almost 2 years since I've been writing it. So hopefully starting to get into a groove of writing stories. And I tell you what, as I mentioned in the newsletter, Jim Clark deserves a lot of credit for spending 40 years putting out all the different newsletters he did, the bullet, the e-bullet, the pocket, the button, all the different forms of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club official newsletter that he did, including the Weavers newsletter, which he did for years. Now, all the archives are online. So if you want to go and check it out, if you go to weaversdepartmentstore.com/newsletter, when you go there, you can go to all the archives. You can see them going back for years, not just the last few years since I've been doing it, but going back years as well. So you'll be able to check out all kinds of fun things in there because the big news is it's almost next issue of the newsletter, I think, would be our 10th year that we'll have been running Weaver's Department Store here in Huntsville instead of up in Nashville. So go check it out. It's got all kinds of fun information in there, stuff about the products and stuff that we have for sale. Plus, it's also got a lot of other cool things. Well, during my trying to figure out what to write and what to do for the newsletter, as I said, I came up with the idea of doing something for the first years. And so as the new years began, I was reflecting on how many folks are out there that love the Andy Griffith Show, but they may not be in the graduate studies program. They are first years. And they enjoy watching the shows and watching the episodes, but they may not know all the things students in the 8th year might be aware of. Now, I say the 8th year because there's 8 years of the Andy Griffith Show, 8 seasons. So we'll go with that. If you're in that group of first years, or if you just want to brush up on your studies, I wrote this column for you in the Weavers newsletter. And so we're going to begin with some basic things that are going to help lay a foundation for you as you enjoy the Andy Griffith Show at a different level. So it's fun to watch the shows and everything, but this is going to start helping you just a little bit because, like I said, there's a lot of things that people that have been doing this a long time that are in their 8th year, let's just call it that, or even graduate studies, that they know that you might not be aware of. So there are 8 seasons of the Andy Griffith Show, as I said, and the first 5 seasons were filmed in black and white. In season 6, the series began its 3 years of color, 3 color seasons. And we lost the character of Barney Fife because he moved away from Mayberry for his new adventure in the big city of Raleigh. Now, there are 249 total episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. And 90 of those are in color. That's the easiest way to remember it. So there's 249 episodes, 90 are in color, which means there's 259 black and white episodes. I mean, 159, not 200. 159 black and white episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. So you got 90 color and the rest would be black and white out of the 249 episodes. So it aired from October the 3rd, 1960 until April the 1st, which I think that's funny. The April Fool's Day is when it went off the air, of 1968. So October the 3rd of 1960 until April the 1st, 1968, new episodes of the Andy Griffith Show came out in scheduled weeks. There were some weeks in those time periods, obviously, and then the summer when they were aired as reruns. But that's when the show aired officially, from the original air date until its last episode was aired on April the 1st, 1968. Now, then that episode was called Mayberry RFD, by the way, that last episode. The town of Mayberry continued in television on the screen in the form of the series Mayberry RFD from September 23rd, 1968 through 1971. It would be March 29th of 71. But for now, all we're going to be focusing our attention on are the original series episodes. Okay, so that's it. That's it. So we're not going to be talking about the Mayberry RFD episodes. There is an episode of the Andy Griffith Show called Mayberry RFD, but we're not going to talk about the series Mayberry RFD. And just as a note, the 249 episodes that I'm talking about does not include the episode of the Danny Thomas Show called Danny Meets Andy Griffith. That was from season 7, episode 20 of the Danny Thomas Show. Which that episode acted as a pilot, and some people say a backdoor pilot, for what later became the Andy Griffith Show. So just so you're aware, that's where we are. So we got 249 episodes, 90 are in color, the rest are in black and white, and we're talking about the original run of the show. So if you're a first year, you may not have known all that. And you may have also noticed I mentioned the title of the last episode as being Mayberry RFD. Well, did you know that they all have titles? Every episode has a title? Yeah, it does. It'd be easy to be unaware of the fact because the titles are never shown. They don't appear during the 30-minute time slot that each episode is on the screen. So many people for years would just refer to a story as like, the one where Aunt Bee makes her pickles or something. Oh yeah, I know that one. But you didn't know the names of them. But there are titles for every episode. Now, a lot of casual fans wouldn't know that was the case. The titles were, however, on the scripts used by the production crew and the actors when the filming of the episodes were occurring. So there was a title on the script. There are many places where you can find listings of the titles by season and by air dates and everything. You can see all those kind of things. There's several places where you can do that. One of them is, and one I'm holding dear, is Mayberry.info, which is it's a Wikipedia style website. If you go to Mayberry.info, you can go to the episode guide and it will list all the episodes by their filmed order. Also list when it was aired, the number, and when it was aired, as well as the title, the original air date. Okay. Oh, that's getting confusing. That's the reason I wrote this all down. So you can go to the Weaver's newsletter for January 2025. This whole article is written up. So if you're a newer person, a first year, I invite you to head over there and check it out. Or even if you're not, you may not have known where to go and look things up very easily and find them all, but it's very easy to find them. Find out the names of these titles. So that is one of the places where you can go and find it. If you go to Mayberry.info, you'll find the episodes broken out by filmed and aired order, as well as their original air date. And as you look at the titles, you'll notice that the order of the list in different books and on different websites may be different. They'll be different, and so that's because some lists they list the episodes in the order that they were filmed. And that's really right now the way iMayberry.info is doing it. It's done it by filmed order. And then other sites and lists will list the episode order by the aired order of the list. As an example, the season 1 episode called Runaway Kid, that's where George Foley shows up at Andy's house and Opie won't tell him who he is. You remember that one, right? So that's the name of that episode, is The Runaway Kid. It was the 4th episode filmed, but it was not aired until the 6th episode slot. So there's a discrepancy then in the filming and the airing order. And that's pretty normal for television series. They'll often reorganize a series or the filmed order versus aired order. Sometimes executives do that to make it flow better, the series flow better, or to introduce a new character, as they did in this particular case. The executives chose to move the 6th episode filmed, which was Ellie Comes to Town, about Miss Ellie, to air as the 4th episode of the series. So the aired order changed. So George Foley and his group should have been the 4th episode, but they moved Miss Ellie up to the 4th episode and slid the Runaway Kid down the list. And that was really probably to introduce the major character of Miss Ellie, Eleanor Donahue, to the audience earlier in the series, the 4th episode. So she showed up fairly early in the series that way. Now, hopefully, the episode numbering isn't super confusing to everybody. But, you know, I can see why it would be. In more recent years, the aired order of the episodes has been the normal way of listing them, which makes more sense because you're seeing them in the exact same order that they originally appeared on television. And that does make sense, is it to be listed out that way. But that's neither way is really wrong. Both ways work. You just need to be aware that there is a filmed order and an aired order. And if you've been listening to the podcast recently, last year, I've been talking about that almost every episode. Every time I did an episode about a particular Andy Griffith Show episode, I explained that. So hopefully you already knew that and have gotten it down. You also saw an example of that. A lot of people, they list it now. You'll see it listed like Ellie Comes to Town would be listed as, it would be S1 period E4, which would be season 1, episode 4. So that's the way it's listed out most of the time now. And IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, that's how they list it. And that is a good way to be consistent when you're actually showing and talking about episodes. Okay. So that is our first years. Now there's a lot of other stuff I feel like that our first years need to know, but that is basically what I wrote up for this particular edition of Weaver's newsletter, to get people started in thinking about what do newer people need to be aware of so that you can keep up with the old timers when we start talking about aired orders, filmed orders, you know, the titles of the episodes. Because people go, when you start telling people the title of episodes, a lot of people are like, I didn't even know there was a title. So, and that's not unusual, because every series that I'm aware of has titles for their episodes. In general, you don't know what they are. You know, I don't know, people that like Seinfeld, every episode has a title. I don't have any idea what the titles are. It's a little different with some shows like, I guess Star Trek, they always showed a title. Perry Mason, it always had a title because it was the case of something, you know, the case of the missing shoe, or I don't know. I don't know the name, but all the Perry Mason episodes started with the case of something. And, so I can see that people would not realize that there are actual titles for the Andy Griffith Show. So anyway, I'm not trying to make anybody feel like they don't know things, not trying to do anything like that, but I definitely encourage it. So that's in our Weaver's newsletter. So if you haven't checked out Weaver's, go and check it out. There's also a big story in there to follow up with that same thing, especially since it was Mayberry first years. I did a review of the first episode of the Andy Griffith Show. We did that here on the podcast last year. So I won't do that here. If you'd like to go check that out, you can go back and look for The New Housekeeper. That is the name of the first episode, both filmed and aired, of the Andy Griffith Show. So you can go and check that out. And I ran through all that information in the Weaver's newsletter and included some pictures and everything in there as well. So go and check that out, including all the odd facts known by few. And there are a lot on this particular episode, as well as some notes of things like the very first line of the Andy Griffith Show is, Anybody here know why these two should not be wed? Speak now or forever hold your peace. That is the very first line of the very first episode of the Andy Griffith Show. And there's a lot of information like that, including all of the cast members. And if you enjoy things like that, I want to encourage you. There are some books out there that you would love. The Essential Mayberry. This is a little bit of sales pitch, I guess, for Weavers, but The Essential Mayberry is Neil Brower, who I talk about a lot here on the podcast. It's his follow-up or expansion of his original book, Mayberry 101. So it's not a new edition. It has all the stuff from Mayberry 101 in The Essential Mayberry, behind the scenes of the Andy Griffith Show. But it has additional stuff. It's a great book. And if you enjoy hearing about behind the scenes things with cast members, the crew members, the directors, this is the book for you. If you have Mayberry 101, I still encourage you to get The Essential Mayberry. Definitely get it. Neil Brower, great book. Go and check it out. Or you might enjoy the Mayberry Rerun Watchers Club Guide, Season 1. There's also a Season 2 by also podcast. He's done our show here, Spirit Walker. He was the writer of this book. Great book that has all kinds of information about the episodes, each episode of the Andy Griffith Show. So if you enjoy hearing some of the, some of the inside information, or you want to be a Mayberry 8th year, go and check out these books. All right. So other thing in the Weavers newsletter that I want to cover just a little bit so you guys will be aware of, because we're always trying to get this news out to people and can't seem to do it. There is a barbershop bulletin board on there. So Floyd's Barbershop bulletin board and event calendar is in the Weavers newsletter. It's also at imayberry.com. If you go there and go to event calendar, you'll get this same information. But there's some great events coming up in the next few months I want you to be aware of. George Lindsay UNA Film Festival is coming up on February the 27th through March the 1st. It's the 28th one. There's not a lot happening that I'm aware of currently Mayberry related. But if you want to go and see where George went to school and just participate in the film festival, you can go to lindsayfilmfest.com and you can get information about that. Now, there is a big Mayberry event that's coming up. I say big. It's in a small town, Granville, Tennessee, April 11th and 12th. The Mayberry I Love Lucy Festival will be hosted in Granville, Tennessee. And Granville is known as Tennessee's Mayberry Town. They market themselves as that. The events begin on Friday, and they feature a dinner theater performances. Now, those are awesome. They do plays of episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. Guys, you'd love it. I definitely encourage you to try to be there on that Friday. And then all day, there'll be stuff going on the streets and trivia and all that stuff on Friday and Saturday. They have all kinds of tribute artists who are going to be there. And it is also a I Love Lucy as well as is represented. And they're going to have a Lucy and a Desi tribute artist. Great. They are absolutely amazing. I've got to work with them the last several years. They are absolutely amazing. Randy Turner, our very own roaming reporter, he will be there doing a presentation and some interviews. We're going to have interviews with Karen Knotts and Dixie Griffith. And we're also going to have interviews with the other special guest that'll be there. It'll be Dennis Rush, who's Howie from Opie's buddy from I got handed a note, so forget. So he's Howie from Opie's buddy from the Andy Griffith Show, and also Keith Thibodeau, who played Little Ricky on I Love Lucy, and he was Johnny Paul on the Andy Griffith Show. They're going to be interviewed with those two. I'll be getting to do that, so I'm really looking forward to it. Be about an hour. There's going to be stage shows. There's going to be a lot going on. Granville, Tennessee, April 11th and 12th. So if you can get there, check it out. Randy Turner, speaking of him, about a month later in May 7th through the 9th, he's going to be having the Mayberry Retreats. What he has. I went last year. It was a great event. It's a kind of more intimate thing. There's not going to be probably not tons of people there. So it makes it very intimate. This year's special guest is going to be Dixie Griffith. She's going to be at that. So, and it's going to be up in Ohio, Archibald, Ohio. So if you're in the Ohio area, this might be one that you could go and check out. And he's going to have a musical guest of Tim White, the host of Song on the Mountains, and, as we hear on the podcast often, the VW Boys and Troublesome Hollow is his current band. Definitely something you might want to go check out. Again, all this information is in the Weavers newsletter. I'm not going to read all the rest of them because those are the next two that are coming up, our next 2 or 3. But there's other things in there. Professor Brower's got lectures coming up. We got the 3rd annual Mayberry Comes to Scottsburg coming up in June. The July, we're going to have the 2 chairs, no waiting. The Mayberry meetup is coming up in July, along with Professor Brower, going to be there in North Carolina. And then later in the year, we got Mayberry Days and the Mayberry Cruise number 18, where Dennis Rush, that I mentioned earlier, Howie, will be traveling with us, along with a great bluegrass band, Cutter and Cash and the Kentucky Grass. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, go and check it out. Keep an update or keep an eye out on the imayberry.com event calendar, which is the same as the Weavers event calendar, because things change and new events come in and all that kind of stuff. So be watching it for new and updated information. Guys, there's so much in the Weavers newsletter. I definitely want to encourage you to go check it out. One of the things I did last month was something new. It's called a rebus puzzle. That's not new, but what I did were puzzles with answers. So I don't know how to do this for you guys that are only listening. So the podcast viewers, the people who are watching our YouTube channel, they'll be able to do this a little easier. So there's 4 puzzles. And so I'm going to describe it to you, but I feel like I'm giving away the answer as I describe it. Okay. So a rebus puzzle is one of those things like the old game show Concentration. Do you remember that? Where, you show you a picture and another picture and another picture, and you had to put them together to make something. Well, this particular one is a picture of a salt shaker with salt on the ground, okay, or poured out. And plus, it's got a plus symbol. And then there is a animal, which is a dog. Okay, so you're supposed to tell me, related to the Andy Griffith Show, what would that mean? A salt shaker and a dog. Surely that gives away the answer. The answer to that puzzle, because this was from last month, so I'm not going to give away the answers to this month's. Okay, I'm not going to give them away because they'll come out in the Weavers newsletter next month, or not next month, in February, March. In March, when it comes out again, they'll give you the answers. So the answer to what this particular rebus puzzle was, with a salt shaker plus a dog, is salty dog. Salty dog. Yeah, it's salty dog. Of course, people in the chat room are getting it right. So that was the answer to the first rebus puzzle from back in November when I originally published it. Now here is another one. The second puzzle I put out was a hand. It's a hand pointing its finger. It's pointing, and it's got a plus sign then. So it's the hand pointing over, and it's got basically a clock or a stopwatch. Okay, a stopwatch. So it's a finger pointing toward a stopwatch. So what do you think that could be? So the finger's pointing, and it's a clock. So there's people guessing finger hand. That's not right. Point in time is a guess in the chat room. Whoa. And no, that's not it either. It's not point in time. So this puzzle is there is time. There is a time. Oh, I saw some folks in the chat room did get it. That one is a little hard. That was a little hard. So there is a time. It's a finger pointing toward a clock or a watch. Okay. There is a time. All right. So now you're getting the hang of it. There's 2 more. So this one, I can't really tell you this one without giving it away completely. So they're a character from a popular television show, a cartoon, and you'd have to see it. I don't know how to describe it for you guys just listening, because it's definitely easy to give. So it's two of him. There's two of him, and plus there's musical notes on the other side. Okay, so there's two characters plus some musical notes. And folks in the chat room are getting it right, so they're seeing it. So they got it. By the way, I mentioned in the chat room, if you'd like to be a part of our chat room, you can go to live.2chairsnowaiting.com and join our chat room on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time. All right, so the character's name, the little boy character in this cartoon, hopefully people would know who he is. His name was Doug. And then there's little musical notes on the other side. So does that give it away completely? So you got two of him. There's Doug, and there's two of them. So they're Doug's. And the other side is tune. So it's Doug's tune. Doug's tune. All right. So that was our third one. And our fourth puzzle is, this one's a little harder, and hopefully people got it. All right. So it's a picture of a slip-on sandal that people wear to the beach and stuff usually, right? So it's called a flip-flop, right? So there's a picture of it, a flip-flop, minus a finger flipping a coin into the air. So it's a flip-flop minus something flipping a coin. Okay, so it's a flip minus a flip-flop minus a flip. So that's a flop. Oh, flop. Plus, then, there is a picture of a human ear. Okay. Plus, a picture of a donkey or something like that. Okay. So, I think everybody got this one. But it's the answer would have been, so flip-flop minus flip would be a flop plus ear. Flop ear plus mule. Flop ear mule. That's it. So there is your answers. So hopefully these were fun to play. If you guys were just listening, you could have gone over and seen them. Hopefully you saw them in the newsletter. So if you subscribe to the newsletter, you would know. So the answers to those were provided this month to give you the answers of Salty Dog, There's a Time, Doug's Tune, and Flop-Eared Mule. There you go. This week, or this month, the trivia is Who Said It? So this is unusual because I usually give you the answer. Okay. So I'm not going to give you the answer this time. So here's the questions. So if you're ready, here comes the questions. You can write down your answers or whatever you'd like to do. But here they are. They'll come out next issue of the Weaver's newsletter. So in keeping with this particular topic, we've been going through the first years and everything. We talked about the new housekeeper in this particular episode or this particular edition. So all these questions are from the episode, The New Housekeeper, the very first episode of the Andy Griffith Show. So we'll provide you with some question or sayings, and you got to tell me who said it. So here we go. Who said, "I'm speaking now, so I won't forever have to hold my peace"? Who said that? I'm speaking now, so I won't forever have to hold my peace. All right, so that's one question. I'm not giving you an answer. I'm not going to give you the answer. Folks may be getting them in the chat room. All right, question number 2. Or actually, who said this? "Well, now I'm telling you, if you don't hush up, you'll be forever holding the seat of your britches." Who said it? Okay. And remember, they're all from the new housekeeper. Number 3, who said, "You don't catch me marrying somebody else"? Who said that? If you'd like to review these, you can head over to Weaver's newsletter for January 2025, and you can review them there. Who said, "And in the morning, I want you to eat all your cereal and don't leave half the milk"? Who said that? All right. The next one. "Think I was glad when you learned to talk." Who said it? Who said it? It's really hard not to try to talk like the people as I'm reading these. All right. There's two more. Here's the next one. Who said naughty deputy? Naughty deputy. Who said that? And finally, who says, well, if she goes, what'll happen to her? She doesn't know how to do anything, play ball, catch fish, or hunt frogs. She'll be helpless. Who said it? All right. So if you think you know the answers, write them down. Weavers will post the correct answers in the March issue of the Weavers newsletter. And you feel free, if you go over to the newsletter itself, you can feel free to add your answers to those questions at the bottom of the newsletter. Guys, there are so many other things in the Weavers newsletter I would love for you to hear about. One of them, I want to get us out of here pretty quick, but one of them I want to tell you, news of cast and crew. I thought this was really cool. We didn't have a lot of news from the cast and crew, so here are a few highlights. Ron Howard, Opie, of course. He was not directly impacted by the recent and ongoing wildfires hitting Los Angeles, thank goodness. And he's been posting about the fires on social media. He said, quote, "The fires in Southern California have sparked unimaginable challenges, but they have also sparked extraordinary acts of bravery and solidarity," end quote. And he posted pictures and photos of moments of strength and hope of people coming together. So definitely, Ron, always looking at the good side of humanity. He also had this to say, heading back to some happier thoughts. On Christmas Day of 2024, he posted the following special memory to his social media. He said, quote, "My granddad, William Butch Spiegel, was Duncan, Oklahoma's best known meat and poultry butcher. He also loved Christmas and all the decorations that came with it. So this plastic Jolly Santa," there's a photo of it in the newsletter, "was his gift to my folks the year I was born, 1954. My mom inherited his excitement for the holiday, and I dedicated How the Grinch Stole Christmas to her when it was first released in theaters. This Santa, that again, he has a picture of on his mantle, it looks like, has been illuminated every Yuletide season since that 1954 date in his family." So he's got this really cool, it's an old Santa Claus, plastic one and I just think that is a really, really cool thing that he has there. Clint Howard, Ron Howard, and Bryce Howard, all of them are going to be in Orlando on February the 6th through the 8th at a big event there. Let's see, what's it called? Here it is, MegaCon 2025 in the Orlando area. So if you're in the Orlando area and you'd like to try to get autographs and stuff, you're going to have Ron, Clint, and Ron's daughter, Bryce Dallas Howard, will be there. They'll sign autographs and take pictures as well. So definitely, but Clint Howard himself said, "But the stories that I will share, it's a big must attend at his table." So Clint said, "Come to my table. I'll tell you some stories." So go and check that out. There's some updates in there again about Margaret Carey as well. Guys, there's just all kinds of information in there. The Rodney Dillard, Dennis Rush had an update in there. Guys, come and check it out. I'm not going to go over everything else that's in the Weavers newsletter. I really want to encourage you to head over to the newsletter and check it out for yourself, because it's just there's way too much in there for me to continue to read it to you. I could have just done podcast episodes, but go and check it out. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked the trivia. Even though we didn't give you the answers, it may bother you for a month or so, but you can go back over to the Weavers newsletter, scroll down to the trivia section, and you can try your hand at it. If you forgot exactly what I said, you can go and check it out. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was fun for you. I always enjoy just kind of going through some of the things we talk about in the newsletter. Folks, I would love to hear from you. You can give me a call at 888-684-8415. You can email me at floyd@imayberry.com, or you can just head over to twochairsnowaiting.com, and all that information's there. Again, I'd love to hear from you. Head over to the Weavers newsletter and subscribe. Make sure you don't miss it. Give comments down at the bottom of it. You can try to give your answers. Try not to give it away to everybody, because I haven't looked even to make sure if people have been trying to answer. I don't see any replies, so you could be first. So, folks, have a great week, and we will see you, Lord willing, right back here in Mayberry next time. Good night, everybody.